Hi, my dear Astro family. Today we are going to be talking about the upcoming new moon, which is going to be happening in the sign of Sagittarius on 20 degree. Now, if you are still interested in my upcoming medical course, which is going to start on the 6th of January, then it's time to go on my website and check it out. It's going to be 15, 16 weeks. And I really recommend this course to any type of health practitioners or just astrology students who are interested in medical fields. I've been doing research on it for a very long time now. Especially, I got interested because I've always had issues with weight. So I wanted to know how that appears in the chart, how I can help myself, for example, to lose weight. So this is one major topic of it. We're going to go through the signs, the planets, how they represent health and medical matters. We're going to do loads of case studies. We're going to use your own chart as well. We're going to go through some remedies as well, how you might be able to overcome these. We're going to look at weight management. So loads of things we are going to be discovering in this upcoming course. So if you wish, please join us on the 6th of January, the very first class. Now, the upcoming Sagittarius New Moon, I mean, it has got quite loads of aspects. So we're going to go through. First of all, what is a Sagittarius New Moon, or what is New Moon? The new moon is when the sun and the moon are aligned, basically standing right next to each other. It's going to be taking place on the 12th of December, depending, of course, where you are, but it's going to be happening on 20 degree, 40 minutes of Sagittarius. So that is in the third decan. And the third decan, the first couple of degrees of the decan is a Leo decan. So when you try to put Sagittarius and Leo together, it's basically something Sagittarius is going in the spotlight. So, what is Sagittarius? First of all, a new moon is a great time to start something fresh. So, if you want to pursue any type of higher education, you want to learn astrology, for example, then it's very important to start something around this new moon. Whether we are talking about a formal education or just you want to be opening up a book and gaining a little bit more knowledge, somehow this is the student and the teacher relationship sign. So, meeting someone, a guru for you, or just becoming a student could be great. You might want to become a teacher yourself. This is the sign that represents philosophers, gurus, people who give wisdom to others. But also, this is the sign of travel. You know, when it comes to travel, it's not just the travel kind of like by plane or going somewhere, but traveling between dimensions as well to a certain extent. So you can be exploring foreign cultures, you can connect with foreign people, or just as we said, you can travel to a foreign country as well. You might become more interested in religion or spirituality or just finding the meaning to life, finding your own philosophy in a sense. It's about awakening your adventurous side. It's time to celebrate something, especially with a Leo Dwart and Leo Decan. It's the celebration of a beautiful life. It's the celebration of every little moment, what is positive in our life. It's time to be enthusiastic about something. It's time to feel euphoria somehow. You know, that you have got the most precious thing in your life, and that's the fact that you breathe. Now, of course, like every single sign, it has got its negative manifestation as well. Often with Sagittarius, we tend to be overextending ourselves. We tend to be overdoing things. So when we look at the archetypical meaning of a Sagittarius, who is the guru, the teacher, eventually they might share way too much with others and it becomes overbearing to people. But also the second archetype of Sagittarius is the high priest, believes that they were chosen for something bigger. right? So it's a mutable sign. Mutable signs are so much connected to knowledge either way. This is about knowing that you are a free spirit. It's about somehow sharing your knowledge with others or building on your knowledge, but also fairness comes into the picture as well, or your own belief systems. Are you too stubborn when it comes to your belief systems, or do you allow other people's truth to enter your sign as life as well? Sagittarius tends to magnify things. It gives you loads of opportunities, sometimes too many, and you have to be clever to choose which one you're going to go with. Remember that the detrimental ruler of Sagittarius is Mercury. So often what happens is that the Mercury position in your chart is going to cause trouble, even though there is no aspect, or even it's not in the sign of Sagittarius, but it's going to be causing some aspect or some trouble when it comes to the Sagittarius area of your life. And this is something I will talk, or I would like to talk to you about, because on the day when we have got a new moon, actually Mercury is stationary. The next day, Mercury will be going retrograde. So this is somehow very prominent. You know, we can give you the usual advice with Mercury retrogrades. You know, that's all about reflection and reevaluating certain type of things. Do not buy laptop, do not buy phone, maybe get things repaired, for example, and so forth. Or maybe the travel is going to be more difficult, or the communicational channels are going to be somehow blocked up. These are the usual stuff when it comes to Mercury retrograde. I hate it. I would like to be the advocate of this is not true. Um, the real Mercury retrograde repeats its cycle every 11 months, meaning that, for example, we have got Mercury retrograde starting approximately about 8 degree of Capricorn. 11 months ago, Mercury went direct on around 8 degree of Capricorn. So can you see the loop there? It happens with every single cycle. Something happened 11 months ago. Yes, history will repeat itself. So you can expect something like that. For example, I'm going to give you an example. Maybe while Mercury was, for example, going through your 11th house, you had a fallout with a friend of yours, or you got to know a friend, for example. Now, Mercury is going to go retrograde. So what could happen is that you might fall out with that friend of yours, or there is going to be certain type of communicational blockages. Okay, so you would need to look at what the previous Mercury 8, 9 degree brought you, and then thinking about that now, how can that go wrong in a way? Now, of course, Mercury retrograde is going to be happening in the sign of Capricorn, but it's going to go back into the sign of Sagittarius as well. So while it's in the sign of Capricorn, you know what it's about, reflecting on how mature we are, how much knowledge we've got, whether the knowledge we had, are we planning to use that, or are we implementing that knowledge somehow? Capricorn, with Capricorn, we need to build on something as well. So it's the reflection of whether your knowledge needs to be taken to the next level. But of course, it could also talk to you about creating a work-life balance as well. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury will go back into the sign of Sagittarius. So obviously, the Sagittarius topics are going to be even more prominent. Now, Mercury goes retrograde, starting its retrograde motion with quite a nice aspect. Basically, it's going to be trining Jupiter, and it's going to be making a favorable aspect to Venus as well. So this Mercury retrograde looks pretty good at the beginning. So, but don't get fooled. This is exactly where Capricorn is telling you that, listen, if something looks good, it doesn't mean we need to stop doing that. We need to keep continuously building on that. There is a sextile to Pallas Athena as well, actually, with Mercury. So that is what telling you how important it is to have a strategy, how important it is to have a plan, and how you get from one to two. So this Mercury retrograde, in my opinion, is asking you to be smart, even though, let's say, you see a big amount of sales coming through the doors. I mean, Mercury is making a square to Chiron as well. It's quite a loose one, but it would be an indication that you are invited to heal some of your communication channels, how you give advice, how you receive advice, or just how you communicate with others. So this is the Mercury element. And as I said, this new moon can go wrong if we are not treating the Mercury retrograde in a great way. Now, what else is Sagittarius good for, right? It's good for publishing. It's about changing your worldview. It is definitely asking you to take a risk in life. It can play out, in negative ways as well. It can become the big-headed, the trickster, or it can betray others as well. Or also it plays out as the sign of the politician, or it is about protecting your ideas. But also you can become the awakened guru as well, because somehow you are receiving the sacred knowledge. Remember that we are going from Scorpio into Sagittarius. So in Scorpio, we were looking for some element of deep knowledge. We get to know information through hardship and crisis situation. Now, we in the sign of Scorpio, we were meant to understand how to overcome challenges in life. And now, in the sign of Sagittarius, we are meant to be shooting the arrow. So it is somehow trying, this new moon is trying to open you up to a higher power. It is somehow making sense of your sufferings as well, pretty much. Understanding that sometimes we suffer for the greater good. You just cannot see that immediately. And I think this is also the reason why with this new moon, Mercury is going retrograde, because we need to be able to see the negatives, Capricorn, as well as the positives later on, Sagittarius. We need to be looking back and see why things have happened and trying to find solution not to repeat the same mistake. So Sagittarius then needs to be sharing that gained knowledge with others. So it might ease up the process or the pain for them. Uh, with Sagittarius, we do need to remember, because we're shooting an arrow, where we came from and where we are heading. I mean, it's a fire sign. Fire signs represent abilities. So knowing that there is a higher power out there, we all have got a purpose in life, and we need to be gathering more information to get to know our karmic existence. So I would call basically the Sagittarius, from a spiritual perspective, the extension of Scorpio. We can go into the mythology, which would be giving you a lot more understanding, but I don't want to bore you. Some people are associating Sagittarius with Crotus, some people associated with centaurs or chirons, or chiron. Whichever mythology you want to go with. But I recommend sometimes reading upon them, because it could really show you uh, the true meaning of the sign. This Sagittarius new moon might be inviting you to somehow visit religious places. maybe going to a hill, a church, attending a spiritual retreat. And I really hope to see you on my retreat in February, and you can join me celebrating my birthday in Mexico. So that's why Sagittarius rules things like schooling. But remember, it's not just attending a school, but uh, to a certain extent, knowing yourself a little bit better as well. By the way, Sagittarius mixed with Scorpio, but it does rule the Wall Street as well. Now, you might be wondering that Wall Street would be more of a Taurus and the Scorpio, but it's a bit of a mixture with Sagittarius, by the way. Maybe you want to go to a horse race. That could be also uh, possible. What else Sagittarius does? It creates law. It goes to the court. It represents voting, for example. It can represent casinos, or it can represent a christening ceremony, for example, even a wedding ceremony, how you exchange your opinions and ideas with others. Maybe you can attend an archery show. But overall, this is something to do with the rituals. It's enough just to light up a candle or you do a mantra. What are your aims? Probably you would need to be somehow able to answer that question for yourself. Now, let's have a look at the aspect of these new moon. I mean, it has got a loose conjunction to Mars. So it's going to be firing up this new moon, right? So if you think about Mars as the planet of warrior, it's the promoter, it's Mars is about entitlement. So it could represent, for example, that I'm entitled to have my own opinion. And from just the Mars perspective, I do not wish to listen to other people's crap in a way. However, when you are looking at Mars from a promoting point of view, then it could represent, for example, that you wish to promote your writings. You want to be published in a book, for example, or you just want to be giving voice to your ideas and opinion. If we are looking at Mars as a sexual being, then this could be the representation of being a little bit more adventurous when it comes to intimacy department. But definitely, Mars as pretty much of a pioneer, it is pushing you to be more adventurous, to become more of a risk taker. And it wants you to pursue your goals, basically. We also have got a square to Juno. Now, that's quite a tight one. Remember that Juno is in the sign of Virgo. And I did make a video about that because Juno will be there until August, right? So Juno is the planet of commitment. So on one hand, this is asking you with Mars that have a goal, be committed to it. Second meaning of Juno is partnership. So this could actually represent that you are going to be experiencing some difficulties, some challenges in your partnership. And this might be because everyone is talking, but no one is listening. Remember that Juno is in Virgo. It can become quite critical, okay? But Virgo is also about healing as well. I can see a quintile aspect happening, by the way, also between the new moon and Saturn. Now, quintile is a 72-degree aspect. This is the aspect of creativity, as well as something to do with a talent that you need to develop further. So Pisces Saturn is definitely asking you to get out there and crystallize your dreams, but also to block out any of your obsessions or any of your, maybe it's the consideration of giving up on something. So it might be looking at whether this relationship is right for you, or are you the right partner for the other person. but definitely there is an invitation here to heal somehow. Also, we've got a square to Neptune. Now, Neptune is the planet of illusions. So it can pull a veil on your eyes, and you might not be able to see things clearly. Maybe because you feel like that life is a celebration, right? With the Sagittarius New Moon. So we're gonna start having a little bit more drinks. I mean, it's December, Christmas period is coming around, and then we say something that we regret. Neptune is again something to do with addictions, right? So there is the need here to understand that we can party without any type of drugs or alcohol and so forth. But also that we all have got some bad habits and we need to be giving up on them. Now, often with Neptune, we want to run away from the problems. So while Mars is trying to get you to make something happen, Neptune is a little bit scared here and it wants to run away. And often with Neptune and Mars, we just run around like chicken without hands, but we are unsure where we are running. Remember that Neptune rules anything to do with the drama triangle, especially with Mars. Mars eventually is going to blame others. Neptune plays the role of the victim at the beginning. And then when things are not playing out the way they should be, then we start blaming others instead. So some of us will be required to look at whether we are somehow part of this drama triangle. Or you can use Neptune in a great way, which is all about creativity. Now, because the Sagittarius New Moon is happening on Leo Dwart, it might be a creative party you want to be throwing. And then with that Juno, how I would be able to imagine that is that you are going to be partnering up with someone. And maybe you do that for Neptunian reasons, which is about charity. So Christmas is coming up, and maybe this is telling you that giving is brilliant and it's nice. And we don't always need to expect something back in return. And then we also have got a trine to Chiron as well. So obviously Chiron is about healing. It's about um, it's about becoming somehow wiser as well. And so this is an invitation that, especially with that Neptune, we've got a square to Neptune. Often, what we said was that, for example, we tend to be touching a bit of alcohol and so forth. And Chiron says to you, you know what? Let's get a healing process start here. Let's visit, for example, a counselor. Let's do a little bit of a shadow work, looking at where this trauma is coming from. Why am I obsessed with certain topics in my life? So firstly, I would like to invite you to look at where the Sagittarius house cusp is in your chart. Remember that a new moon is pretty much lasting for approximately about 28, 29 days. So then after it gets cancelled out. So it doesn't bring you pretty much opportunity after. And then you will be able to see one more aspect to this lunation, and that's a quincunx to Uranus. Now, quincunx is a 150-degree aspect, and that is talking to you about frustration and adjustments. Some of us will be frustrated that there is no freedom in their life. They cannot do things freely. So imagine that you want to be doing a party, but unfortunately, someone is giving you the guideline, and Uranus wants to throw away the guidelines because Uranus is all about expressing our authentic self somehow. But also with Uranus, there is an intuitive thunderbolt coming. And then unfortunately, we do not know where to put it. Often it's about you don't know how unique you are. And And somehow with the Chiron, there is a need to remember about your own uniqueness. So this Sagittarius uh, new moon, overall, I would say a pretty much of a positive one. Now, of course, when we are looking at the dispositor of this new moon, sorry, yeah, dispositor of this new moon, which is Jupiter, that is placed in the sign of Taurus. So often it's going to take us back to healing our finances, to look at the ways we can improve our self-worth, how to feel better in our skin as well. And that could be quite important. I'm sure the self-worth is going to be a major topic. And the reason, or the financial world is going to be a major topic. The reason why I would say that is because Jupiter and Venus are actually in opposition to each other in this chart as well. Now, we've had this is something I guess I spoke about maybe in my weekly forecast for my Patreons, which you can sign up to, for example, on my YouTube channel into the membership zone. But before Venus went into the sign of Scorpio, it was part of a T square with Venus, Pluto, and the lunar nodes. So that also brought up the topic of relationships and the challenges to the relationship, or the need to transform the relationship department. It started sometimes on the third, fourth week of November, and then it's ending around the 7th of December. So we had to examine our relationship a little bit. Some of us needed to let go of a relationship, and some of us just needed to develop better relationships. I mean, Venus was on the South Node as well around that time. So the trust matters, the trust factor in the relationship department, but also the power dynamics. Do I feel I put too much into this relationship? Am I a people pleaser? And so forth. Or what is the toxicity behind the relationship? Anyway, we can think that this T square is going to get dissolved, but it didn't, because Venus went into the sign of Scorpio, which is still echoing the Plutonian flavor, right? And now we've got the Jupiter and Venus opposition, which is, by the way, happening on 9th of December, so on 6 degree of Taurus to 6 degree of Scorpio. So in that new moon chart, Venus is on 9 degree, as you can see. So obviously, often with Venus opposition to Jupiter, we've got too many good things happening. We do not know which one to touch, right? Jupiter magnifies things, right? So it's about being greedy when it comes to money or love matters and so forth. And then imagine that Venus is in the sign of Scorpio, so it has got that investigative quality to it. So I'm checking up on my husband, what they are doing. We're playing the role of the detective somehow. However, it is also asking you to look into the mirror and then seeing what you see there. Where is that suspicion coming from? Where is that, trauma coming from? Where is that suspicion coming from? Why am I unable to trust others? Right? And of course, if there is trouble in paradise, then unfortunately Jupiter will magnify that. If there is no trouble in paradise, you know what, then we can overextend ourselves with this aspect as well. So, for example, you can overspend your money, or you can overindulge when it comes to, a bit of an alcohol and so forth. So, those type of things. So, it is wanting you to be a little bit more careful, I would say. So, guys, this is my analysis on the upcoming new moon. I hope to see you in my next video. And if you wish to attend my medical course starting next month, then I would like you to join. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.